Hello, I'm Rachel Jones for Calcine Media. Welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. Today I'm speaking with Mr. Iggy Tan. He's the Managing Director of Altech Chemicals. Now, the company has already secured land for its upcoming battery anode material plant in Germany. Here to tell us more is Iggy Tan. Good to speak with you today.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
Looking forward to hearing more about Altech's latest move. So now Altech has recently wrapped up the preliminary feasibility study for its German battery anode material plant. Iggy, can you tell me what were the major findings of this study?
Yeah, as you know, just a bit of the background. As you know, there is a push to get more silicon in lithium-ion batteries to get the energy density up. And last year we announced that we were successful at producing 30% higher energy lithium-ion batteries. And this year we have now progressed to the commercial aspect of that game-changing technology, and we announced the prefeasibility study for a 10,000 ton per annum aluminum anode plant to be built in Germany. Just very quickly, the capital investment is about 95 million US dollars, so not a very large capital investment, with very attractive returns, with a net present value of around 507 US million dollars, and an internal rate of return at about 40%. And it should generate around 63 million US dollars per annum during its operating life. So very attractive returns, not a very large capital cost, and consequently the board has decided to progress to a definitive feasibility study.
That's fantastic news, and the financial figures from the pre-feasibility study are very pleasing. So what will be the next course of action on this project?
Yeah, so we are advancing on the commercial side, and in order to do that, we have committed to build a pilot plant in Saxony, Germany. And the reason for the pilot plant is we want to be able to produce larger commercial size samples of the aluminum anode, which is essentially silicon and graphite with our alumina coating combined as a product called aluminum anodes. And the pilot plant will be able to produce commercial samples that we can then send to downstream customers to do their qualification process. So at least 30% higher energy lithium-ion batteries is the objective, and it's really game-changing technology for the lithium-ion battery industry. So we've already purchased the land in Germany. We are now progressing with the pilot plan and the DFS, and we also have two very strong German feedstock suppliers. So our partners are SGL Carbon, which is one of the largest graphite producers in Europe, as well as Ferroglobe, one of the largest silicon producers in Europe as well. So it's very important for us to be positioned in Europe, as well as sourcing materials for the aluminum anode material from European suppliers.
Well, it all sounds very promising, and it seems as though we could be seeing a significant breakthrough in the technology. Iggy, would you be able to just explain in a little more detail about the silicon barrier?
Yeah, very interestingly, in Tesla's last battery day, they've announced that they want to get silicon in their lithium-ion batteries to get this step change in energy density, which then reduces the cost of lithium-ion batteries to well below $100 per kilowatt hour. And silicon has 10 times the energy density compared to graphite. So for a layperson, there are 10 times more sites that the lithium can stick on in the silicon compared to graphite. So silicon is a very promising anode material. Now, if it's such a promising anode material, Why isn't it being used in commercial batteries today? And you mentioned the silicon barrier, is that silicon expands 300% in volume during the charging and discharge of the battery, and it fractures, and it causes swelling and delamination. So there's a big problem for a lithium-ion battery. The other problem is that the first cycle loss is also very large, basically absorbs a lot of lithium on its first charge and then makes it inactive. Now, because of those two problems, a lot of companies have been trying to resolve this silicon problem. And our company uses high purity alumina technology. We basically coat the silicon particle with alumina, and we coat the graphite particle with alumina, and we find that resolves the problem of volume expansion and fracturing. So by doing that, we essentially crack the silicon code, and we have produced 30% higher energy lithium batteries, but more importantly, they're very stable. We've gone and tested the batteries in long-term charge and discharge cycles, and they're very, very stable. So very exciting technology. We believe it's game-changing technology for the lithium-ion battery industry.
Absolutely. As you mentioned there are other battery anode producers that have been using silicon in their anode material. Now, how is your silicon anode material different from others?
Yeah, I guess the way the industry has been trying to resolve this this expansion problem is they've gone to very tiny silicon particles, essentially nanotechnology. And that sort of resolves the expansion problem, but the problem is that the cost to get to nanotechnology is very expensive. So any benefit from any energy increase in density is negated by the extra cost of the silicon. So what we embarked on was using regular size silicon particles, and which then reduces the cost dramatically, but using our HPA coating technology to resolve this expansion and first cycle loss problem.
Very exciting times. And just looking back to your Germany development as well, are there any offtake agreements from German or any other European companies?
Yeah, so really that's our next phase of the DFS, is where we want to convert that interest into offtake. At the moment, we have some NDAs with two large German automakers, and we have an NDA with a European battery maker. Now, we in the next phase will want to convert that to more secure offtake for the product, and we are very focused on Europe. Our belief is that the lithium-ion battery story will be about Europe in the next 2 decades. As you know, lithium-ion batteries was about Japan, Korea, and China in the past. We believe that the lithium-ion battery will be about Europe in the next coming time. Now, the reason for that is really driven by EU CO2 emission standards. And so consequently, all the automakers in Europe have announced to go all electric by 2030 or 2035. So essentially, after that period of time, all car manufacturers in Europe will be producing electric vehicles, only electric vehicles. Now, there's something like 600 gigawatts of battery producing capacity that have been announced to meet that demand. And if you follow lithium batteries, you would also follow that 600,000 tons per annum of graphite will be required for those batteries. And I guess that's where our product sits in. We are producing a super graphite anode material with that silicon. So very exciting demand coming up, and that's why we're really focused in Europe.
Absolutely. It's an extremely fast-moving space to be working in. Thank you so much for your time today, Iggy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and best of luck with the moving forward. And that was Iggy Tan, Managing Director of Altech Chemicals. If you missed any part of that chat, you can catch the full interview on our YouTube channel, Calkine Media, so make sure to subscribe. I'm Rachel, reminding you to stay apprised and invest wise with Calkine.